Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Wednesday, October 4, a little after 3:15 p.m. Eastern, 2023. We're having a time for change call tonight, around a little after 9 p.m. Eastern. The heart only loves, accepts, and embraces what is. So don't trust the mind. Trust your heart instead. And be free of the mind and just remain in the heart. You will soon, in time, find the divine. Every day, we get lost in a sea of duality. So the pendulum swings back and forth from being lost to being found, again and again. Our mind is not the only mind out there that is making a living hell or heaven out of each moment. Everyone is doing this. We are all blind to the divine. We simply have to choose to learn how to release all attachments and trust in God and surrender to its totality. When we do take this risk to dissolve back into the source, in each moment, we naturally discover how everything around us is helping and guiding us to be free. Now, when you when it really boils down to is that we have endless more lifetimes, say 1 billion more lifetimes, to become enlightened. God is never, ever going to stop loving us. And the bad news is that if you postpone, you will miss out on the 1,000 opportunities heading your way today. There's no real end to this journey. A lot of us are given the impression that there is an end. You don't die when you die. Period. You don't die when you die. So truly, there is nothing to be concerned about. Why is everybody so concerned about that on this planet? Why is everybody so concerned about dying? Because we don't die. Because we are, in most instances, controlled by the ego mind. We live in yesterday and tomorrow, and we suffer. None of us are exempt from it. Some more than others. Others less than others. And we do this lifetime after lifetime. Ego mind drives us into the physical material world. And the ego mind exists, as we know, in yesterday and tomorrow. Most of us literally are focused and working things out in our minds for tomorrow, even though we haven't finished now, even though we haven't finished today. Even when you wake up in the morning, you're already projecting into tomorrow, and your day has just begun. You might not only that, you might be projecting 5 days from now, a week from now, a year from now. Or you're flying into the past. When we realize we are an eternal being, eternal, what's there to be worried or fearful about? We're all on an infinite journey. We're always safe and on the right path. We made it this far, and we're still a very conscious and deeply sensitive being. This is a very good sign. People that come to this meditation or listen to it later, in a lot of ways, are awake. That's why I always say to a certain extent. Because when you're fully an enlightened being, you don't worry about anything. You're not concerned about material physical world. You know that you're forever. So this is why when we're in the now, we literally cherish every moment we're in these bodies. How many of us do it on the planet? Well, you can tell. It's not a judgment call. It's just a perspective, watchers observing on how all of us, civilization on this planet, react and respond to the social construct, society, which is the human psyche. You ever notice how society dictates so many things? You can't wear this in public. Why? Well, it wouldn't be too accepted. Or you can't say that. Why not? Well, there'd be a lot of people who would frown on that. It always goes to what? Ego mind being concerned about being hurt, attacked, rejected, ignored. Now we know there are 1,000 paths to enlightenment. We begin to master our thoughts. How do you do that? Some people go, oh, that's scary. That seems like that's so involved. I'm not going to do that. That's too involved. That's going to take too much time. Mastering your thoughts basically is that you leave the mind alone and you take 2 steps from it, and then you observe. You observe the ego mind. You're not engaged with it, but you're watching how the ego mind operates, the thoughts that it generates constantly, incessantly, 24/7. There's 1,000,000 doors we can walk through to experience this moment as divine. One of these precious doors is not so easy or obvious to see. Yet, we unconsciously step through it every single day. It is the perpetual swinging door of judgment. We are so often unaware whenever we are passing judgment and obvious of how it is a secret passageway to the most enlightened and heavenly state of being. No matter if we are conscious human beings or not, the mind is constantly judging ourselves, other people, this world, and anything that it can get a hold of. The mind was born with this master-like judgeaholic power. It can judge anything in milliseconds. Many of us have not realized this. Yet, probably in the last 15 minutes, your mind has passed 10 judgments on yourself, someone else, or something in the world around you, or as either good or bad. The judgment and judgmental mind is perpetually busy working away at labeling this life. And this workaholic is a slippery little devil, little gremlin to catch. We are so accustomed to the mind judging everything in this life, it's as if we've been soaking our hands in warm water for 25 years and we don't even realize that it's completely wrinkled and about to fall off. So just to clarify exactly what judgment is, there's a lot of different definitions. Judgment is the mind labeling something in this life as either good or bad, but not both. It is a one-sided viewpoint of existence, which separates and divides. Interestingly, judgment manifests only when we are living up in the head and are disconnected from our heart. When we are living from the heart, the mind cannot judge. This occurs because the heart is free from duality, and the mind can only exist in duality, seeing black and white. The heart cannot get hooked in whatever the mind believes is only good or only bad. When the heart is leading the way, we are free from the perpetual prison of the judging mind. If and when we are to be free from judgment, we must drop out of the head and into the heart. The mind will quiet and become very still. From this space, we can watch our mind closely and see just how slippery its judgmental habit is. We can see how it tends to avoid what it deems as scary. The mind often believes that if I get what I want, this is good, and then I'll be really happy. And if I get what I don't want, this is bad, then I'll be really unhappy. The more enlightened path, however, is understanding that in this great, divine, supreme, all-intelligent universe, we are going to get it all. We always, always, always get what we want and what we don't want. For example, we might manifest our dream partner or soulmate, only to later realize that they trigger our deepest, darkest issues and childhood insecurities to surface every day. Or perhaps we spend half our life running in the great societal rat race, being devoted to striving, achieving big, luxurious dreams, and becoming financially free, only to realize later that we missed out on so many beautiful sunsets while we were indoors chasing some fantasy. Life is always both. We get death and we get birth. We always get both. And this polar opposite is inside everything that exists. The yin is contained within the yang, and the yang within the yin. It's just like you're in a pitch dark black room. You can't see your hand in front of your face, but there are light particles in that room. Just like you're just being blinded by the sun. There are dark particles in that light. The more often we practice seeing, feeling into and accepting how we always get what we want and what we don't want in this life, the judgmental mind just drops on its own accord. We naturally start living every day in deep harmony with existence. We become vulnerable to existence again. And in this sweet humility, we can feel the great perfection of life. We deeply accept that this existence is the expression of the highest intelligence, and that the good-bad judgment plan is the smartest plan available from God to create a spiritual awakening experience inside every being on this earth. Here's a challenge for all of us to see if we can find a single situation, person or thing of this world that is only 100% positive and does not also have the tiniest hidden negative byproduct within it. Now, if you think you found something like a new flower budding or an amazing sunset, just wait and investigate it a bit longer, as both sides will eventually show. There's always another side to the coin, and as the flower will one day wither away, and the amazing sunset colors always fade into the darkness. We always get both. The rose always comes with a few thorns, even if they're small. So my invitation for you today is to free yourself from the judgment habit. And you can do this. Just start looking deeper into yourself. Accept any judgments you may have. And how many are there? I've listened to people through the years, I'm sure that you have, that berate themselves all the time. I don't know if they're aware of it. I really don't. I don't know if they know what the ramifications are of it. You know, you get, usually it's either physical or brain, mind, right? They get those two mixed up. You know, I'm too fat, too short, too ugly, too poor, too dumb, too smart, too much in my head. Or, you know, you get people telling themselves that they're stupid. You stupid idiot, why'd you do that? You welcome all the judgments you have about yourself. Just don't reject, avoid, or judge them. See them for what they are. They are one-sided judgments that you have about you. When you can truly see and welcome the judgment, it will have less energy and magnetic pull on you. In a matter of minutes, the contracting hard feeling around the judgment thought will lessen. Drop into stillness, and you will become totally free from it. As far as this welcoming process works, the secret is moving totally into the experience of judging. When you consciously are feeling only one side of the judgment, awareness grows in you. You cannot fall into that old judgment again so easily next time. You can see just how it impacts your mind, emotions, heart. When you remain in one-sided experience of this life deeply and fully for a long time, something inside you will soon tire. And then the judgment pendulum just swings to the other side. For example, some point in our lives we get to a lot of us do. We may feel and say that people believe that they're never good enough. I've had people say that. They don't believe they're good enough. That's why. That's why this is happening, or this messed up, or that. Or how many times have you gotten frustrated and said that you can't do anything right? If you're welcoming that judgment and feeling for 5 to 10 or even 20 minutes, something in you will exhaust itself. Release the contraction. Wake up. This smaller, more enlightened aspect inside you will sneak in and perceive that on some level you are doing everything right, and you are totally good enough when you welcome judgment. And the judgment pendulum soon swings, and this allows you to know what perfect peace feels like. Now, some people may think that always welcoming and acknowledging both the good and the bad in this life is just some boring, fatalistic, nihilistic, uncreative path that only leads to a state of apathy. Quite the contrary is true. By learning to accept and welcome it all, we find that we are truly okay with everything that is and feel a more spacious quality within ourselves. We feel we have more time to develop our ability to expand consciousness, relax into our lives. From this expanded space, we dramatically increase our manifesting vibration, deepen our state of inner peace, and become a magnet for the most amazing life situations to occur. You will find that the welcoming process is extremely powerful simply because it leaves nothing out. It comes from a deep spiritual place inside you that is saying yes to the totality of your existence. You're just not interested in fighting, proving anything, or resisting life anymore. Instead, you move and feel totally fluid like water, without resistance, force, or control. In this state, it's so easy to realize that God is everything and in everything. It is this deep welcoming mind that creates an enlightened mindset, where we actually feel, see, and understand the divine perfection of life. We become more interesting people as we stop wasting our energy trying to negate others, ourselves, or continuously be upset with the way life is. In a mind that is free from all judgments of ourselves and others, we naturally appreciate it all. We can see that the glass is half empty and half full at the same time. We can feel this infinite empty universe all around us, and also sense how the sun is always rising somewhere on the planet, sharing and radiating its brilliant light. It never isn't. Just like us, we're always creating. We never are not. Living in the enlightened mindset is like floating in a sea of orgasm, waves of deep cosmic opening to joy, happiness, appreciation, ecstasy can actually waft through our body at any time. When the mind is not occupied with judgments, we have more energy to make more love, explore our spiritual nature, taste the freedom that exists at the core of our being. When we can live daily in this enlightened mindset, everything inside us changes. All the previous pain we've been carrying seemed to have mysteriously disappeared. We can naturally and fully relax into our divine balanced nature. Now, what I find is the most interesting aspect of all is that this judgment-free, enlightened mind is our most natural state. It is already inside us and exists at the core of who we are, at the seat of our consciousness itself. We can only experience it directly, however, when we have respect and reverence for the perfect balance that exists in everything. When we acknowledge the divine balance within every situation, person, coincidence, accident, and we know there's no coincidence, accident, belief, memory, and atom throughout this universe, we can open up to it. The more acceptance we have that there's always good in the bad and bad in the good, something deeper inside us lets go. And we can finally relax into our deepest spiritual experience of life. When the mind calls off the search for defining and redefining what's good and bad, we have an infinite reservoir of creative energy to surrender fully to our soul. This enlightened life is not about cultivating a deeper relationship with our mind. It's about getting beyond the mind. When we master our mind, we no longer live in fear. When the mind falls from its altar, we rise to the summit. As we learn how to drop into a perpetual state of surrender, allowing the greater intelligence of this universe to run the entire show, we see how every precious moment in this life has this bigger, universal force behind it all. In seeing this, the mind totally gives up, and we realize that we have become the perfection that exists within everything. With enough awareness, we can totally stop the judgmental mind habit and wake up from the addiction. Then we'll know what real freedom is like. And nothing else will satisfy more than this freedom. This true freedom is free from all forms of pain. It is the greatest experience of this life. This means the mind can slip back into clinging to delusion and desire, and you don't. The mind might crave, whine, and yearn to be free, yet you know that you are the one behind it who is actually already free. You remain the watcher, deeply detached and liberated from the mind's antics. It's the greatest, deeply eternal loving of all when we realize that we are not our mind. When you truly understand that and you embrace it through the heart-mind, we are not our mind. We are not our ego. It is temporary, just like these bodies are. The more we practice welcoming judgments, the easier it becomes to see the mind and how to be free from it. When we can always see the good, the bad, and the balance between the meeting of the two, then the struggle of this life doesn't matter so much anymore. The mind soon gets trained to only see balance and perfection. It automatically observes how the good is in the bad and the bad is in the good, and how these two worlds always collide, and there is nothing left but freedom. There is just the pure observer watching and witnessing it all. Rely on the essence of your pure wisdom mind, not on judgmental perceptions. Rely on the spirit and meaning of the teachings, not on the words, Buddhist teaching. The enlightened, judgment-free mind is always available and shows up when we release the need to be right and instead create more room to be happy. Happiness through inner peace becomes the goal for all of us. Instead of striving and focusing on surviving this life, with inner peace as the priority, the dualistic mind soon becomes free from attachment, desire, resistance, and contraction. We surrender to the heart and can actually feel deeply okay with whatever manifests and does not manifest in our lives. This enlightened mindset is not hard to achieve. It just takes the most deeply rooted devotion to ourselves. Ask yourself that question. How devoted are you to yourself? We must choose to be willing to know ourselves intimately and never stray from exploring further about who and what we are. How well do you know you without the ego mind's influence on your answer? How well do you know you? This exploration leads to a profound honoring of the sacredness in all things in this life. We start honoring that this balanced state of perfection is everywhere. And when we have nothing to complain about or try to change in ourselves anymore, instead we start worshiping everything around us. We see everything and everyone as the divine in physical form. We bow down to this very ordinary life, and we call it God. We look into a blade of grass and understand how it's just as sacred and important as our entire galaxy. To remain in a judgment-free, enlightened mind every day, we must choose to look at what cannot be looked at and revel in being totally real with our pain. If and when we wish to remain liberated, we must be willing to see where we are still in prison, fighting to get out. As long as we are fighting, we are still not truly free. So we must choose to always be aware of the slippery mind. We must choose to never allow the sneaky judgments to take over us again. We must learn or believe to be 100% creatively devoted to continuously being awake, aware, and ready to step beyond a seemingly safe, judgmental world. We must choose to become the black sheep of this world if we are to be truly free. Because you know what? The majority aren't free. There are so many constraints that we create for ourselves. That's why we must become the black sheep of this world if we are to be truly free. We cannot ever agree with anyone who says that some things are just 100% bad and nothing good at all will ever come out of it. We must choose to stop all movement whenever any judgment arises. We must watch our thoughts and beliefs vigilantly. Be totally aware whenever the mind starts believing in some final truth. We must do everything we can so that the ego cannot harden and cling to any opinions formed or thoughts containing right and wrong beliefs. This pain takes some serious devotion. Isn't it interesting how we, like Grace Alone makes the statement, quote, blaming holds us in the energy of the duality, of victim and abuser. Forgiving is a direct way of reclaiming our power, freeing ourselves to love beyond judgment. Some people maybe have, maybe will, tell you how the universe is not already in a perfect design. Some people will. They might try to make you a believer that you should only get what you want and nothing else. This seems like the ideal situation to be in right. Well, the spiritual awakening process is always much deeper and more complex than it appears to be. If this universe was set up this way, the great mystery would be gone. If we should never know what a block, problem, pain, or failure was like, we would be without direction, feel perpetually numb, have no longing to dig deep inside our souls to find our life mission, creativity, and spiritual path. This universe is already set up in the most intelligent manner. It's designed so that we can get a good, solid taste of suffering, anxiety, or inner turmoil and use it to awaken within. Whenever we go unconscious and forget the divine, all-intelligent universe is everywhere around us, we instantly suffer. Whenever we allow the mind to form any judgment and register only one side of reality, our problems begin. This universe loves us so much that it doesn't want us to live in any lie. So it wakes us up with a little stress, anxiety, or emotional pain. If we don't stop and drop our judgments, another level of suffering will soon manifest. This pain is our most perfect and most loving teacher. And by welcoming it fully, we are led back to our real state of love, enlightenment, and freedom. This is how people always want to know how. Is it really complicated? I believe it gets complicated when we fight it. That we fear the unknown, or that we fear what we will discover about ourselves. So many are immersed into this material physical world and eventually start worrying about dying. And we don't die. And a lot of people wonder, well, enlightenment, what is that? It's within you. It's where you're free. You're at peace. You're not in the ego mind anymore. You've mastered your thoughts. You know which thoughts are yours, and you know which thoughts are not yours. There's no conflict. Because we've all been led down that beaten path before through the ego mind. So it's great, isn't it great? That we know we can make the comparison. So we kind of know. Now, if we had never gone down the path of the ego mind, how would we ever know which thoughts were ego mind? We wouldn't. How would we know how to master the ego mind? We wouldn't. I had a question posed to me not too long ago that, is the ego mind out to destroy itself? Yes, it is. Does it know this? No. Now, have you ever wanted something, whatever it may be, in this life, that it just pulled you all the time? It was something that you had connected with, became super attached, and had many expectations with it. You couldn't get it off your mind. You couldn't get it out of you. You couldn't put it away. It was there staring at you 24/7. And you didn't get it. And you're tremendously disappointed. And you start suffering. That's the ego mind. Now, the heart mind is totally the opposite of that. You present to the universe something that you want through the heart mind. You have all the trust, faith, and confidence in yourself and the universe. So you know it's an inevitability. It will manifest. Leave the rest up to the universe. Now, the reason that we've spent so much time in the ego mind so that we can learn about it. A lot of us know what it is because it's always with us. But see, it gives us the power and the understanding to master it. And eventually, it is no more. And someone might say, how do you, see, it's interesting, how do you expect me, with everything I'm experiencing, to change directions? That's just absurd. That's crazy. That's lunacy. I don't expect you to do anything. I'm asking you to look within you and to say, isn't it time that you focus on the now? The only reason you're suffering is because you spend most of your time in the past, or you either spend it in yesterday or tomorrow. That's where you exist. That's where the ego mind is. It's the only reason that you suffer. Doesn't it make sense that you start focusing on the heart mind? Peace, joy, tranquility. There doesn't have to be a catalyst for that because it's our natural state of being. Well, no, the material, physical world is our natural state of being. No, it's not. We create it for entertainment. We're not of it. We create it for entertainment. That's it. Entertainment's temporary. We're not. So you begin to view things much differently. You take on a whole different perspective. You move away from judgment of yourself and others and things, and you embrace your fears and love yourself deeply. This is a love that's way beyond any romantic love. And at times, have you ever noticed yourself when you see something, right? Or you see something that's happening, whatever, and you feel that tug, don't you? Where you just are dying to judge, make a comment, or say something. But then you come in with the heart mind and say, I'm not interested in that, I'm not going to do it, I don't care to engage in it. And it fades off. And no matter how many times it comes back, it fades off. As soon as we jump in there, in that goop, once we jump in it, it changes us. You ever notice that you get more fearful, distracted, irritated, and you notice how it grows. And then you say to yourself, I don't care to do that anymore because I've done that enough. And I know the feeling. And I know what it does to me. Not for me. But in a way, maybe it does something for you. Or you wouldn't be looking in the direction of the heart-mind. And isn't it interesting that each of us are gods in the body, and collectively, through all that there is, ever has been, ever will be, ever beyond, and forever, make up the one God. You could say to yourself that you are the one. Every one of us can. But to have the high degree, because we all do, the high degree of intelligence and of understanding of many things, to know the meaning of life and to embrace it. And the only reason things at times get so deeply serious is because we're heavily steeped in the ego mind. In the heart mind, life is lighthearted. We don't look at it as deeply serious. We know it's temporary. We know that it's entertainment for us. We also know that we can experience with it many things. You take somebody, let's say they grow up underground, right? And the parents believe that it's really bad on the surface, so they just decide to move underground. And just stay there, not interact with the media, society, or anything for years. So the child grows up. Gets the age of be 20, 21. He or she decides that they're going to take a trip to the surface. Now understand, they don't really have any idea about society, say, because they've been disconnected from it from the beginning. But then they find out as they go to the surface how everything tells you how to be. Right? How everything tells you how to dress, how to look, how to be accepted. All of it. And for the person that's doing this, it's a total shock. Because you can't wear those 1950s clothes. You can't look like that. You're supposed to look like this and talk like this and be like this. Because we all are. Society would frown on you for that. Rather than accepting ourselves and each other exactly as we are in this very moment. No question, no doubt, no ego mind involved, just pure, unadulterated understanding of who and what we are. And the civilization is moving in that direction. Where it gets to the level of understanding and frequency where that's who they are. And they know who they are. There's no judgment there. They dress how they want to dress. They act the way they want to act. They're highly respectful to all things. To all things. They're not grumbling, moaning, and complaining. Which at one time we've all done. So what's the outcome? Total bliss. Contentment. Peace. Tranquility. Benevolence. That's what the outcome is. We have the choice. We could stay in the ego-mind existence or move into the heart-mind and be free. Doesn't that seem like that'd be a no-brainer? It does, doesn't it? Do not delude yourself by imagining your source to be some God outside you. Your source is within yourself. Give yourself up to it. Seek the source within and merge with it. Ramana Maharishi. I'll join you in the meditation. I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose, and an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still. You will live for eternity. We know, sure, this body and mind will die someday. Yet you will go on and on and on. Once you know in your heart that you have an infinite amount of time ahead of you, you relax and step into an expansive, timeless, multidimensional spiritual experience. Every little occurrence becomes another opportunity for spiritual growth and enlightenment. So here's your assignment for today. Act as if you are living an ever-youthful, energetic, super-alive body-mind that will live far beyond 1,000 years. Have conversations with people from this place, knowing you will live forever. Imagine the wisdom, relationships, and life experiences you will have during this time. Feel, experience, and know you live forever in an ideal anti-aging state of being. Explore, imagine, and rediscover who you are. Take this with you for the rest of the day into the evening and night and the following morning. And we'll return here tonight around 9 p.m. Eastern to continue our Time for Change call. And Thursday, October 5, 2023, 3:15 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest, deepest, eternal gratitude at all times. No matter what's happening around you or within you.